Speak No Evil from 2022 is literally one of the most disturbing films I've ever seen. So what do you think about the new camera? This is a brand new camera with different lenses, so I'm trying to play around with it. Also I will be changing the background and all of that. But for now, what we're going to do today is, as you read by the title, we're going to do a deep dive. We're going to be talking about the 2022 phenomenon, Speak No Evil. That film really traumatized the audience back in 2022, so I'm really excited to talk about that film. It's personally one of my favorites from that year. It's actually my second favorite, and after doing all of my research, I even love that film even more. So I really hope that you learned something about this film, and I'm doing this in order to celebrate that its remake is coming out in the next couple of days. I will also be reviewing that film. So the structure for this video is going to be divided into 3 parts. So the first part is going to be, it's mostly the deep dive. I'm going to be talking about like the history behind the film, who made this film, where the inspiration came from, and all of that, like the actual pre-production history behind Speak No Evil. The second part of this video is going to be basically my review, how do I feel about this film overall, and the third part, the last part, will be the audience perspective. How did the audience react? How is this movie doing with reviews? What do people think about this film in general? So if you're interested in Speak No Evil from 2022, sit back, relax, grab a drink, grab a snack, bring your family, be by yourself, it's fine, and enjoy this video. So Speak No Evil from 2022, this was actually written by a couple of siblings, by 2 brothers, Danish brothers. I really hope I pronounced their names correctly, but their names are Christian Tafdrup and Matt Tafdrup. Now both of them, they also worked together in a film of theirs called A Horrible Woman, but Christian was the one that directed that film, while Matt, like I said, in the writing aspect. So Christian also had directed A Horrible Woman and a film called Parents. I haven't seen any of those, but after Speak No Evil, I'm really interested to see what else they have done. The cinematographer of Speak No Evil is Erik Molberg Hansen, and he had also worked before in a feature film in the past. I went through like his filmography, and the 2 most popular films that I found are Becoming a Street and A Serious Game. Obviously I haven't seen them, but after seeing the cinematography from Speak No Evil, I'm so excited to check those 2 films out. And finally, the editor for Speak No Evil is someone called Nikolaj Momberg, and this was actually like his first feature that he had edited. So props for that, because this being your like editorial debut is impressive. So let's start talking about the director of this film, him as an individual, as a filmmaker. How did he like got inspired to write this film and all of that? So director Christian, he did acting and directing in film school back in Denmark, and he did many acting roles overall, but as a whole he always preferred directing overall. And obviously he did a lot of short films. He did his 2 feature films, A Horrible Woman and Parents, but it was not until Speak No Evil that became his first like official feature film that was worldwide, that was released worldwide, that like got so much appreciation, so many awards and all of that. So Speak No Evil is like his first film that made him shine as a director worldwide. You will be surprised, but the director was never really familiar with the horror genre. His favorite genre is actually the drama genre. So, but like he always appreciated horror as a whole, and his favorite decade for horror is the 70s. And one of his favorite 70s films, horror films, is When a Stranger Calls. However, he always said that he always admired the psychology behind horror films and the drama that could be involved with those films. Like those 2 main aspects in cinema were his favorites: psychology in humans and drama. However, before writing Speak No Evil, because obviously it was a 2022 film, like he started writing this film around the pandemic, like in 2020. So obviously he said to himself, I need to catch up with new horror releases, with modern horror, because he has said in many interviews that he never really stayed tuned with what horror movies were coming out in the decades, like in the 2000s, 2010s. And while watching modern horrors, he realized how much the horror genre had changed from the 70s to the 2010s, which is like surprise, surprise. But he realized that the 2010s is one of those decades that really knew how to mix the drama, psychology in humans, and the horror as a whole. And like three of his most favorite films ever, he has said, are Hereditary, Get Out, and Midsummer, because he had said that those three films are the perfect combination of drama, psychology, and horror. And those three films were actually an inspiration for him to write Speak No Evil. And one of the things that I liked him the most about those three films is that they always had to say something about society, about humans, how they do behave in society, or like in general, where do we live as a society. Now, can you believe that the director of this film, he got inspired to write Speak No Evil based on a personal experience? Now, before I continue, his personal experience was not as dark as the film. However, he has always said that ever since he was a kid with his brother and his parents, every time they will go abroad, like his parents will always be interacting with random people, random couples, like just random like other tourists that are in the same place. And like they always felt uncomfortable as a kids because they never really liked the other people. But his most recent experience is that when he went to Italy with his girlfriend, they were just the two of them, and they met another couple. I believe it was another Danish couple, like Italian, I don't remember. But he said that when he was abroad with his girlfriend, that couple approached them, they became friends abroad and all of that. And after they left Italy, they exchanged emails and numbers for sure. And when they arrived back home, they started receiving emails and phone calls from that couple because that couple wanted them to visit them actually in Italy. So the director, he felt very overwhelmed with that because he said they were receiving emails mostly every day or weekly, on a weekly basis. So obviously he denied the offer, him and his girlfriend, they never went to that place with other couple. But because the director said to himself, if we were receiving so many emails on a weekly basis and all of that, what could have happened if my girlfriend and I actually went to those people's house? So he said to himself, that was the inspiration for Speak No Evil, because he wanted to take that dark turn on what could have happened. Now, the casting from this film was actually not easy at all. This director and the brother, the other writer, they were writing this film non-stop from the pandemic and all of that. They started doing the casting in 2021, obviously with a lot of COVID regulations. So it was really challenging for them. But can you believe that so many actors and actresses, they liked the script and all of that, but the director said that after they read the 70th page, they absolutely denied the offer to be part of this film because of how traumatizing it was, because of that finale, because of the themes explored. So many actors that the director and writer had chosen declined the offer to be part of this film just because of the last 20-30 pages. And can you believe that some actors and actresses actually said to the director and the writers to change the script, to change the finale, to make the characters do something else, because they just say that it was not human to portray those characters, which for me that's surprising, because as an actor, as an actress, I don't think you should say to a director or a writer to change the script, because if you're reading it, that's what you need to perform, if that makes sense. And obviously I don't think it's the best attitude to say to change it. But obviously the director and the writers in general, let's call them the writers, they were fine with it. So they changed the script multiple times, but they were just not in love with it. So they decided to just stick with the original script, the movie that we have nowadays. Now let's talk about the casting for the two couples. So let's start talking about first the good couple, the victims of this film. So the actress Sitzel Sim, she actually comes from a generation of actors. She's actually the third generation, but she was mostly a theater actress. She honestly had never done so many films or TVs. She was mostly focused on theater on stage. Same with the other actor, Morten Burian. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing their names properly. He also was a theater actor. He has never really done a feature film for film or TV. He had done theater for 20 years. So Speak No Evil was actually the first feature film for both actors as their main role, as the lead role. So they were newbies in this, and I have to say that I was amazed because I didn't feel like they were new in the horror genre. I didn't feel like they were new in feature films and all of that. They did an amazing job. And now talking about the casting for the evil couple, the bad guys, those two characters, they actually were the last characters to be casted because the writers struggled to find actors for those two roles. And they almost had to scratch Speaking of Evil for like another 2 years because they just couldn't find someone that would portray the evil couple until the writers met the couple that are in Speaking of Evil, because obviously because mouth to mouth, like they actually didn't, like the couple that we know, they actually didn't cast to be part of this film. They were called by the writers thanks to like friends and family, like my mouth to mouth. So that's it. If it wasn't for that, maybe Speaking of Evil wouldn't have happened. One thing that I actually appreciate so much about the good guys in the film is that the two actors, they actually didn't know each other and any of that, and the director and the writers and the director, they were actually really nervous on how they could do Speaking of Evil with two actors that were not really familiar with film or TV or like with feature films in general. But because of how they performed the casting call, how much chemistry they had while portraying the characters, they fell in love with them and they decided to give the roles to them immediately because of how quick they became a couple for Speaking of Evil, if that makes sense. Which honestly, I think it makes sense because they were stage actors, they were theater actors, and I think in theater you need to be so quick because obviously there is no cameras, it's all first hand, it's all the first time you do it, so you have to connect with your colleagues immediately. Now leaving that behind, let's talk about the main theme of Speaking of Evil. And you will expect that the main theme of this is like evil, or like you might think the main theme of this is like revenge or just pure evil or just bad people overall, crime. But no, the main theme of this film is feeling free, like being free, being a human free while being trapped. So what the director wanted to explore was the feeling of knowing you must leave but not doing it so you don't come across as rude, the feeling of putting yourself below others for the sake of others instead of yours, not speaking up when your boundaries are being crossed. And if anything, this film explores the theme of when to say no, because no is a beautiful word, it's just 2 letters. So when you know when to say that word, a lot of things can change in your life, and I think that's what the director wanted to explore. What happens when you push yourself that much against your will? What happens when you don't know when to say no? And I think that was so well explored in Speaking of Evil. One thing that I really admire from the director is that he has said in many interviews that he wanted to use a basic straight couple, man, woman, both of them being white, in this situation because he didn't want to involve either sexuality or race for the reasons that everything is happening in the film. So he wanted to say, because he said to himself, me with my girlfriend, we are 2 white people, we are both straight, we're in a relationship. So he said to himself, what could have happened to me if I went to that trip with the people that were emailing me? So that's the main reason why he said, why he included this couple. So like the audience will think that like no one is safe, because he has said, and the brother, they both have said, and even the actors and the actress, they all have said that most of the time they feel free or like they feel safe just for being either white or straight abroad. And I think that makes a lot of sense because, for example, when you are a person of color or when you are non-straight, you might feel unsafe while you're going abroad. So I think it was amazing that the director, he wanted to just include someone that people would not expect to be in danger while abroad. Which it makes sense because, for example, if we go back to Get Out, obviously race is like the main aspect of why Get Out exists, because we know that everything happens to the main character just because of his skin color. And also, if we compare this film to, for example, The Retreat that came out in 2021, if I'm not wrong, or 2022, that film is also like a couple, they go abroad, they go on holidays, but obviously they are like, it's a lesbian couple. So the stuff that happens in The Retreat is because they are lesbians and all of that. So obviously that's the main theme in The Retreat. So if you compare Get Out and The Retreat with Speaking of Evil, it does make sense for the director wanted to just have that kind of couple in Speaking of Evil. So people wouldn't say, oh, this happened because they were a gay couple, or this happened because they were different color of skin couple, if that makes sense. The director just wanted to portray that bad stuff can happen to anyone if you are in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think that was explored amazingly in Speak No Evil. So I think the directors, they knew like the main criticism that this movie was gonna get was, why didn't the characters just leave? Why didn't the character just say goodbye and leave the scenario in the first few minutes of something? And that's the main critique that I've seen online about this film. People are saying, these characters, they're so stupid, why didn't just that leave? Why did they continue to stay there? Like, why did they do that? Blah 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 blah. But the director and his brother, they both wanted to communicate that sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes it's not that easy to just leave a situation, especially if you're feeling threatened. Sometimes it's not that easy to just say goodbye. Sometimes it's not that easy to say no. Sometimes it's not that easy to leave where you are because you're feeling uncomfortable. And that's one of the things that the director, he wanted to explore. Like in the film, you can tell that the main couple, like the good couple, they know those two are weird, like they know those two are like off, but they don't leave because they don't want to come across as rude, or because also that they fear what could happen. So they decide to wait one day, and there is one specific scene where the husband, he says, we just got 24 hours to go, I think we can handle it. And I think that's amazing, because sometimes we do that. Like sometimes we do that. Sometimes we know we have to leave something, but we don't do it because of the fear. How many times people feel stuck in a job and they want to leave, but they know that if they leave, something bad could happen, so they decide to stay. Because, for example, sometimes when someone complains about their job, other people might say, just leave, you can leave any day, any minute. But it's not that easy, because it's not that easy to lose an income, it's not that easy to just stop working out of nowhere, because we know that many stuff can happen. Also, how many times do you have like a toxic friend, a toxic relative, and it's not that easy to break that relationship because of the consequences that could happen, especially if the other person is toxic. How many times men and women are involved in relationships where they are where the relationship is so toxic and they cannot leave because of the fear of what the other person can do. And also, for example, if we go outside the job or if we go outside relationships, how many times, for example, you go and buy something, you go and buy a coffee, clothes, or anything outside, but the person that is serving you is very rude. How many times you go to a restaurant and the waiter might be very, very rude, because that happens, but you are scared to say no to the food, or you are scared to change the food because they brought you something completely different, but you're afraid to say something because in case what could do, like back in the kitchen with the new food that they're gonna bring you. Stuff like that, like common life situations that we face daily, that we are afraid to say something because we're just afraid of what the other person could do to you. Now, talking about the awards that this movie has won, and this movie has won so many awards over the last couple of years, winning 9 different awards from different film festivals all around the world, not only in Denmark but also like in the United States, in the United Kingdom. So that's amazing. Like, this movie has received nominations for like Best Director, Best Writer, Best Soundtrack, Best Editing, Best Main Role, Best Actress, Supporting Actress, Actor, all of that. One of the main awards that this movie has won that really caught my attention is that it won Best International Film at the Fangoria Chains Awards in 2022. Another thing that has really impressed me, that this movie has competed in those like different awards against huge films such as Pearl, X, Scream. So like this movie has been like related to like huge Hollywood films, and I think that's amazing for like the director overall. So coming into the second part of this video, we're gonna start talking about my personal review about this film. And overall, I have to say that I love this film. I think Speak No Evil was amazing. I think it was incredibly disturbing. I think Speak No Evil really knew how to touch emotions that I didn't know I had. One of the main things that I loved, we're gonna start talking about things that I liked and maybe things that I didn't like, although I gave this film 5 stars, so for me it's a perfect film. I wouldn't change anything, there is nothing bad about it, but I still have some critiques. But I think the main thing that I loved about this film is obviously how this movie communicated so well with the characters, with the cinematography, and with the editing. Like those 3 combines worked perfectly. Because if we think about it, this movie, because of the editing, this movie knows how to give the good couple like their characters, their personality. The same with the bad people. Because for example, if you watch the film with the good guys, like the movie makes sure like when those characters are on screen, like the shots are wild, so like they're more free, they feel more human. But when the characters, the bad people, they are on screen, it's mostly close shots, most of the faces or like middle body, so you feel trapped when you're seeing those characters. I think that was phenomenal. I think another aspect that I really loved about the film is overall the storyline. Like the movie, even though it's not disturbing until the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes, the movie still makes you feel so uncomfortable. I was really uncomfortable throughout the whole time. And I think it was amazing how the movie manages to be disturbing without like being gory or without having like SA situations. Like this movie is just disturbing because of the matter, like we said before, of invading your privacy, invading your personal space. I think this movie has so many good scenes where I felt uncomfortable, especially for example with the bathroom scenes. There is so many scenes where the characters are taking a shower, like the good couple. The bad guys, they just decided to enter, breaking like their personal space and all of that. I think that was incredible. Is that Leatherface? Another thing that I really liked about this film is the color grading. I think the color grading in this film is gorgeous, especially because the orange, the yellows, like it work perfectly. And I think it was incredible because obviously orange and yellow are colors that make you feel at ease in horror. Like the reds, like you don't really feel that comfortable about it. And I think the use of those colors inside the house was beautiful. Talking about the characters overall, I liked all of the characters overall. I think the acting was phenomenal for all of them, for the adults and the children. I think one of the most interesting characters, I will say, is the dad from like The Good Family. The film with this character wanted to communicate that how trapped he was feeling in his personal life because he was so annoyed with his wife and his children. Because he just felt that he was doing the same stuff every day. He felt that he was just going work, going home, going work, going home. So when he met this new couple, he felt so free, although he didn't know that he was gonna be trapped with those people. And I think that was amazing. There is one specific scene where the two fathers, they're having this conversation, and the good guy, he has kind of a breakdown because he starts talking that he's feeling trapped in his personal life, that he's not doing anything new about it, although he can come across as the guy that has the perfect life. And the bad guy is like, what you need is this, and they decide to go outside and scream, and like they're happy, they're having the best time together. That was incredible because that character was feeling so happy with the bad guy without knowing the intentions behind this guy. And one of the scenes that really make the audience angry is where like they're running away because they decided to escape, but the daughter, like, she lost her bunny. So the dad, like, if you watch this film, the dad has like this solo scene where he's only his eyes and he's thinking, okay, what should I do? Should I continue? Should I go back? But he decides to turn back. But he's not doing it because of the bunny his daughter lost. He's doing it because he actually wants to go back to the house, be friends with the dad. So he took that as an excuse to go back. And I think that was amazing because at that point he just wanted to continue being free with the evil people, although he knew he shouldn't do it because of his wife and daughter. And with the evil guys, what I like the most about them is that, again, they are normal people. They are not these huge weird of people. They just come across as normal. Like, we see those kind of people every day. And honestly, this movie makes me wonder, do I really know everyone that is around me? Like, am I really safe whenever I go, especially when I go abroad? Maybe not. If there is something I have to critique about this film, because obviously there is some stuff, but like for me it's minimal, because for me this is a perfect film. I think for me, I will say this, that I personally don't understand why the police is never involved, even though with a phone call and all of that. Like, if you might have expected for these people to call the police maybe when they were on the car, or maybe when she went to the toilet by herself. Like there were many situations where they could have called the police, so I don't really understand why, and I couldn't find an answer from the director of why the police was never involved. And another thing that I have to critique about this film is maybe at the finale, when the good father is like, he's looking at everything that this other couple has done. I think that was too much in your face, and like I don't understand why the bad couple, they will have all of these pictures in that specific room that opened, like that door didn't have any lock. So I think that was too much in your face for the audience, so the audience can understand those are bad people, they have done this stuff. And like the movie has so many pictures with different children, so I think that was too much in your face. And I don't think the bad couple, they're not that the kind of people that will have all of that in that specific room. Coming to the last part of this video, we're gonna start talking about the audience reviews, how did the audience react to this film. So on IMDb, this movie has over 44k logs, and so that means it has over 6.6 out of 10, which is incredible. And over on Letterboxd, which for me is more of an app where you can really tell how the audience feel, because it feels more free. Like so many people log there, so many people feel free to review. Like, so I feel that Letterboxd is the app where you can really tell how the audience feels about that film. And on Letterboxd, over 157k logs, the movie has over 3.3 out of 5. And I think those two are incredible for this film, because I would have expected this film to be even less. So I'm glad that this movie is standing on those two numbers. And I've asked randomly online on social media about how are people feeling about this film, and these are some of the answers that I got from like different people. So that's amazing. Like you can tell some people were even scared to watch this film because of the subject matter. So yeah, I feel like the audience overall are feeling great about the film, maybe in a good way or maybe in a bad way, but at least people are feeling something. So that was it. That was my deep dive and my talks about the Speaking of Evil from 2022. I really hope that you learned something about this. I personally love this film. I will rewatch it maybe yearly. But obviously it's not an easy watch, it's not an easy rewatch. So I really hope that you learned something about it. Let me know, what did you learn? If you like this review, if you like this deep dive, if you like this film overall, how do you feel about this film? I would love to learn that. I'm excited for the remake. I know it's not going to be the same film as the original, but still I'm excited, mostly because of James McAvoy. But we will see how I feel about it when I do my review about that film. I really hope that you have a nice end of the day. I really hope that you have a nice end of the week. Please be safe while you go abroad, and we will talk in the next video. Bye bye.